Welcome, fellow adventurers, to another episode of Bannworth Academy Ancient News. I'm Dr. Tiffany Bannworth, your guide through the winding passages of history, archaeology, and discovery. Today, we have the privilege of traveling, at least in spirit, to the Roman world in Britain. Our guest is Lee Baylis, an archaeologist who has been working in the field for nearly a decade. Lee has walked the long road of discovery from his first steps in the discipline to building a career shaped by both passion and persistence. His work focuses especially on Roman archaeology in Britain, and among his many achievements, Lee's 3D model of a Roman corn dryer was published in the British Archaeology Magazine, and he's even curated his own museum exhibition showcasing his collection. So grab your fedora and your travel, because today Lee will share how he carved out his own path in archaeology and what treasures, both literal and figurative, he's uncovered along the way. Welcome all the way from Britain, archaeologist Lee Baylis. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
for coming again. So I am so excited that you're here, and we're as we've said, you're kind of a bit of a celebrity. You've been in the magazines, you've started your own company, and let's get into it. It says here, can you share how you first became interested in archaeology and what motivated you to pursue it personally?
So I studied filmmaking at university. That was my kind of first passion because of my granddad. Kind of inspired me to make films and short films and stuff. And then after university, I became a freelance filmmaker, making company promotional videos, and then I made videos for charities and stuff like that. But the work wasn't enough to make it full-time and livable. So, I'd have to work kind of part-time jobs in jobs I didn't like retail or something, But also my other passion was history and archaeology. So I did everything I could because I didn't have a degree in it, and I wish I did do a degree in archaeology now, but we can't turn back the time. And so I did, like I said, I did everything I could to get the experience. So I volunteered in my local museum, which was Northampton Museum, which they're famous for shoemaking.
Oh, wow.
But obviously I was not interested in the shoes, I was interested in the archaeology. So I did 1 day a week as an archaeology gallery auditor, and basically just going through their archive of archaeology finds that they had, and I would take photographs, record them, and kind of say if they were kind of display worthy. So I did that for a while, and then I also volunteered as an archaeologist with a society called the Upper Nene Archaeology Society, which was also local to me. And for years they've been working on a Roman villa, and they kind of finished the cool part, and I was on to the kind of Roman farm area, because I also had some Iron Age stuff there as well. So I came across a lot of Roman roof tiles and Roman building foundations. So it was really an interesting first dig. And I would do that every summer because it was only a summer type dig. And then I also started collecting my own finds, from, it could be modern to flint tools to Roman pot to Roman brooches and stuff like that. And I would take these on this display to little museums, to schools, to elderly care homes, and do talks, and kind of let the children, let them be able to hold things and ask me questions, because I feel like I found at the time that maybe the hands-on approach to, education, it kind of makes them a bit more involved, and they want to ask questions like, who's this person on this coin, and what was he famous for, type thing.
Right.
So I've always had that passion.
Well, I do think that you're onto something about the hands-on, because definitely being able to hold on to the coins and actually touch it is definitely more interesting than listening to a lecture where someone just drones on for an hour.
Exactly.
And what's funny about it is, as you were working on both ends of the spectrum, the elderly homes and children, I think those are the both populations where they just say whatever they think. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
they're not trying to be polite about it.
They
This
don't
is what
care what they
the real
say.
deal
Yeah.
is. So having the hands-on and a good lecture is probably a good approach to dealing with both of the populations. So you mentioned that your journey in the field wasn't straightforward. You really got in with a lot of volunteering, and now we flash forward. You've been a freelance archaeologist for 3 years. You own your own archaeological firm. So for the students or adults alike who watch this series from around the world, what were some key steps or challenges along the way to where, like you said, you don't have a degree in archaeology, but you are a freelance archaeologist with your own archaeological firm? How did you get there, and what could you tell other people who want to do the same thing?
So yeah, like you mentioned, I don't have a degree, but I've managed to work my way into the field and grow over the years, and now I've got my own company. And hopefully that would be inspiration for students and people who don't have a degree, but they've got a good, a nice passion for archaeology and they want to get into it. And so basically, I applied for an archaeologist job just on a whim. Didn't really think I
Yeah.
was going to get anything from it, but they emailed me the same day and said, "Yeah, you can't be an archaeologist because you don't have a degree, but you can apply to be a environmental science assistant." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So I
Yeah.
had an interview, and they could see that I was quite passionate for archaeology and for learning, and they took me on. So I worked in Enviro for 2 years, and it taught me a lot of how to identify certain finds, animal bones and pottery,
Mhm.
um, and basically, if I don't know if Enviro is a big thing in America, but it's basically taking a soil sample, say from a archaeological feature like a Roman ditch. We take that sample, we put it in a big tank, water tank with a mesh, put
Mhm.
put that sample in there. We just kind of sieve it until we just get to all the like the stony little bits and bobs.
I think we call it water screening here.
Yeah, it's probably like water sieving, or it's basically like
Yeah.
sieving but in
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. No, we call it
Like,
water screening because it
yeah,
they put it because they put all the extra dirt and soil, displaced soil that hasn't had something recovered from it, like we all the good stuff. And then we extra water screen it afterwards to make sure that we didn't miss out on anything. But tell me more about what you were gonna say about the charcoal, because that is not something that's always done here.
yeah. So I mean, if we come across a pit like a Roman or whatever pit, and there
Yeah.
seems to be a lot of charcoal or burning evidence, we definitely have to take samples of those pits to to get the charcoal for dating evidence.
Yeah.
If we come across grain or seeds, we know what they were growing or eating at that time, and also snails can tell us a lot about the kind of environment at that time.
Oh,
If
wow.
a certain type of snails can be from a swampland or from a forest or from a dry or wet,
Yeah.
so that all those little things help us give kind of a environmental report analysis of that particular site, and that's quite important. Um, so I did that for 2 years, and I managed to badger my way into the field, and that's how I did it. I did that for 2 years, and then I went into the field. Then I became a supervisor. Then I became a project manager. And then the more you kind of go up, the more paperwork you do, and you don't really get to do much digging. So that doesn't interest me in the slightest. So that's when I switched to self-employed because it's better money and it's more flexible. I was just
And
digging,
more digging. Yeah.
more digging, and I could choose where I go, type thing. And now with the company, it's basically to just branch out from not being able to progress as self-employed because all you get to do is dig. But now I'd like to branch out, have my own company, supply archaeologists onto sites, do drone photogrammetry, metal detecting, 3D modeling, and kind
Yeah.
of start my own thing. So I've only literally started the company in August, so it's
Oh,
quite a
wow.
fresh thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So this is the perfect time for your interview. So if anybody wants to hire, what is it, Fortuna Archaeology?
Yeah, Fortuna Archaeology.
Hey, if you guys want an archaeologist or somebody to do drone pictography or whatever, this guy is the one for
I'd love
you.
to come to America, yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
well, then I might actually know some places that you could do
Ah,
because not only in the archaeological world, but in the paleontological world out in
hmm
like the Utah area, they have right next to each other Jurassic, Triassic, and Cretaceous area, like area archaeology, or I'm sorry, paleontology, and you can literally see the divisions of the color of the sand, our two different colors right on the border.
yeah.
So this book that I published this summer, it literally has me and like there's like a team of paleontologists, and we're all standing 1 foot in the Jurassic era and 1 foot in the Cretaceous era. It would be incredible to get, like you said, drone footage
Oh,
of some of the
definitely.
stuff like that, especially with um, large area stuff. And then also there's an archaeologist that I that works for the school and independently. She's incredible, Andy Esters. Her specialty is maritime archaeology with a focus on Spanish galleons. And that would be interesting to get some drone footage of that as well. So who knows? I could introduce you to everybody. Get your
Do
foot in the door.
it.
Definitely, people around the world watch this because I can see what countries log on. The
Yeah,
you who watch this, and it's hey, he's willing to travel around the world, guys. So
I'll do
anywhere
it.
in the world who's watching this, Fortuna Archaeology with Lee Baylis. So we're gonna get your name out there. Let me see here. So it says so you're specifically really knowledgeable on Roman archaeology in Britain. So the Roman Empire during the time period that they expanded all the way out to Britain, which you were telling me some stuff previously that I thought was very interesting about Iron Age side by side with Roman archaeology. But it says here your question. You've said Roman archaeology in Britain is your main interest. And what is it that fascinates you the most about this period?
So, I haven't said before, but like I said, I don't see myself as an expert. I've got a lot of years' experience in the
Hmm.
field, and yeah, so I don't claim to be an expert in Roman archaeology, but it is my favorite period just
Yeah.
because of the amount of material that we come across and how much survives 2,000 years later, and how much we can learn from what we find, like being from just a bit of pottery or coin or some building foundations, and it's amazing to see the craftsmanship, and from that you can learn from the social aspect or how they lived, what they ate, what they were eating, were they kind of rich or poor, um, and sometimes the military side of things where we come across a lot of hobnails that were on sandals.
Oh yeah.
um, Someone's lost a shoe somewhere.
And then
um,
you can go back to that other museum that's really big into shoemaking.
yeah,
Then those two
exactly.
loves will fuse together. So you're into the everyday man as opposed to like the emperors and
I'm
kings of the
really,
time.
yeah,
You're the everyday guy. What do they eat? What do they wear?
yeah, I'm really interested in the people of that time, the men and the women and the children, what clothes were they wearing, and
Mm.
how are they speaking, how are they adapting to the life in Britain with the British people? We know what some of them, the Romans, felt about the Britons because they've found wooden tablets with writing on them saying the wretched Britons smell and look ugly and stuff
Oh
like that.
no.
So
Dear
we know what they
diary. No.
thought. Yeah, D Diary, the British people are great, horrible. So
Oh
we know
no.
what they felt about us, in not in a good way. And you can imagine British people with big beards and living in mud huts and thatched roofs and
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
you were
look.
saying earlier that they were side by side oftentimes. What'd you see in the
There's
difference in the architecture?
So the sites I've worked on where you can see the Roman and the Iron Age people living literally next to each other, where you've got really nice Roman buildings, and then you've got an Iron Age roundhouse, which is the most common thing you see in the Iron Age kind of archaeology, where it's like a ring ditch with a little gap where the entranceway would have been. Um, and that all that ditches, that's all that survives really, because what would have been there was a wooden mud kind of round
Yeah.
house with a thatched thatched roof, and in the middle would have been a pit to keep them warm. Sometimes we find ovens on the outside because obviously they were scared of burning down the house because it was
Right.
highly flammable. And then you come to the Romans and they're in, houses that look like what we build today with the roof tiles. And there's similar, the roof tiles are similar to how we still use them, and the kind of cement, the mortar they were using is still surviving. And, sometimes painted plaster still surviving, which is just, to me, incredible seeing, Roman paintings on a bit of plaster that's survived 2,000 years. Just because it's fallen, a certain way.
There's something to it about the mortar, now that you bring that up. I think that they created it in a way in which, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm Mesopotamian archaeology, biblical archaeology, Egypt, but I think that the Roman cement was strengthened by salt water. Like somehow they had developed it to where if salt water touched it, it made it stronger instead of eroding it. Like there's some sort of a chemical reaction in it. I don't know, but I do know a little bit about Roman roads too. But like, it is so unbelievable that the stuff still stands. And like you said, this is even kind of like a temporary stay in Britain. It's not even where they really based most of their empire, and you get to see like the stuff you said. Even the paints are still, because in Egypt, a lot of the paintings are faded or chipped away and whatnot. Have you personally found pottery that's painted?
Yeah, I was working on a Roman villa site in Oxfordshire last year. Although I didn't get to do much digging on it, I got to see a lot of the finds from it, and it was quite an amazing site because there was different phases of the villa where you could see the early stages to then the late stages of when it was abandoned, and there was plaster everywhere, and it survived because they were painting the exterior of the building, and that had fallen on the ground, so the paintings would have been on this side and the bare plaster this side. And then when we've lifted it, you can see flowers, black strips and red stripes and stuff like this. And it's just amazing how it survived so long. You think about houses these days aren't particularly built very well.
No.
And would that be the same case for, say, if my house collapsed and 2,000 years later, would you still see stuff on the, I don't know. But it's still, like I said, the technology and the craftsmanship, they made things to last, and that's how we get to see so much of the wider spectrum of the Roman period, and compared to the Iron Age where it's the typical ring ditch, some pottery that just disintegrates in your hand because it wasn't very well made.
I think that's like you said, it was built to last is an important statement, because it almost is like kind of talking about the remembrance, because we are still talking about the Roman Empire because their stuff still lasted. Now we live in a time period of the companies who make products have planned obsolescence so that it all breaks so you buy another one, which the idea is completely the opposite. Because in Rome, if some other country bought Roman goods or empire or whatnot, civilization, it would last forever, and that would be their mark. This is a Roman good, it will last. The roads to Rome are incredible. So it is definitely an insight, like you say, how you like to study the insights of the everyday man. It is definitely the opposite insight. They built stuff to last, even if it's 2,000 years. And now we build stuff because we're hoping it'll break and you'll buy more and we can get more money out of it.
Well, I've come across like Samian pottery, which was the fancy ware, and I've come across parts where they've drilled a hole because it's broken, and they've put a lead clamp to clamp the two broken pieces back together because they obviously loved that item so much, and it probably cost them a lot of money. They fixed it, and they probably would have just turned the broken side and then put it on the shelf, So I've come across that a lot actually with Samian ware, with repairs made out of lead clamps, Oh,
I love that. I wonder if the lead poisoned them. If it was enough lead too. I know that the Japanese do that with gold. Like when stuff breaks, they fix it, put a little bit of gold in there, and enough gold will poison it too. So who knows? I guess there's more to look into. Let me see here. It
I
says
was going to
here.
say, actually, sorry to interrupt,
No, don't. This is your interview. You tell me.
that you were saying the struggles. I know this is way back. The question of struggling, but so I have ADHD and autism, and I've struggled with depression and anxiety.
Oh,
And
wow.
I wanted to kind of say with the people, if people, students or whoever who wants to become an archaeologist and feel like they can't, or they feel like their their needs are stopping them, take it from me, I've struggled a lot with that kind of thing, but don't let it stop you from doing what you want to do. Like we know we hyper focus on certain things,
I think
you
that would be
know.
a benefit of archaeology. Hyper
Yeah,
focus.
exactly. Is that yeah, it does help. I think it does help having that hyper focus and that motivation, and that's what I think. Also, we have a bit more passion, I think, sometimes to the things that we're interested in. So yeah, I just wanted to say, if anyone's struggling out there with those similar things to me, that don't let that stop you. Do what you want to do.
I love that. We do have quite a few students that have autism, and I'm also a board certified therapist. So we have students here with autism and ADHD as well. And I love that you touched on that because not often do people mention that. I mean, even I feel like Elon Musk kept it a deep, dark secret to the last second that he
Hmm.
was on the spectrum as well. But that's wonderful. Yeah, keep to it. And like I said, in this instance, it's almost like a superpower. Your ability to hyper
Yeah.
focus on these little niche specialties is what gets you through, and what I think propelled you to be your own archaeology or your own archaeologist with your own company, which we're definitely hiring. Everybody, remember, Fortuna Archaeology. Um, this is also a commercial.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so you did. I can see what fascinates you. I know you like the buildings as well. So what is out of? I know you also told me that you've traveled all up to the north, through the south, and then in your beginning years, you're always traveling, to go to basically get your hands on any site you could. And now that you have your own company, you can kind of choose and send other people. What is the favorite site of yours out of all your Roman sites in Britain that left the biggest impression on you personally, and why?
Um, I think it would have to be the site where I did the 3D model that was published in the magazine.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
I worked for a local council, and the site was alongside a kind of famous Roman road called the Fosse Way, and we came across a lot of interesting things where I did a lot of 3D models where we even found a skeleton burial that was upside down, so
Hmm.
face down, but we could see the coffin outline, so where the wood would have been.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was, we think, Roman because there was also a coin in the hip area, which was probably the pocket of the
Oh,
person,
yeah. And it had a
Um,
Roman coin.
yeah, it was a Roman coin, we think,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So I've got a 3D model of that, which I can send to you as well.
I love that.
Um, Also, we come across quite a large corn dryer, which is the one I did the 3D model of, and it's in the magazine. But I also excavated my first corn dryer, which was a lot smaller. It was inside a possible Roman bathhouse, but there might have been different phasing where the corn dryer was from the early stages, and then they kind
Yeah, because
of
that'd be a weird place to
yeah,
dry your corn.
exactly.
You know
Just got
what?
people
So
drying corn and having a bath. I was like, what are you doing?
while we're waiting, um,
Yeah.
so funny about so I looked into, in case nobody knows what a corn dryer is, I looked into it because I knew I was going to be talking to Lee, and essentially this is what I found out, and then he'll tell us a little bit more. Is that you have almost like a Dakota fire that is like a little chimney that lays sideways in a T shape, and then you spread out your grains so that you dry them out so they don't mold and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then and so they're like, you found like little chimneys, you were able to do like a 3D model of it. But for
Mhm.
it to be in a bathhouse, I wonder if it doubled as, you know, keeping it hot in there, or like, I don't know if they use towels, but they could dry themselves out as well as the, so it's two for one.
Just lie above the thing, dry yourself.
Yeah, two for one, just in case.
Unless unless we interpreted the bathhouse, it might have been something else. But the thing is, it
Yeah.
had a kind of semicircular wall with pillar pads where pillars would have stood, and that's kind of tells you it's probably like either maybe a shrine or a bathhouse. But The
Yeah.
corn dryer might have been from the early stages, and then when that kind of was abandoned because it was filled to the brim with Roman roof tile like tegula and imbrics. And one of my favourite finds actually is from the inside of that on a Roman roof tile. There's a little puppy paw print imprinted into the
Oh,
tile, and I love that kind of thing because
yeah.
it's a memory imprinted in a roof tile 2,000 years ago of a cheeky puppy walking over the tiles while they were drying. So I find that really fascinating. And I came across also a a flint scraper from the Neolithic period.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was right outside of it. So maybe there was a lot going on in that area.
I suppose so. And can you tell our students exactly, because you actually did this in quite an ingenious way. Could you explain to the students how you were able to get that 3D model?
Yeah, so the normal way for any commercial unit would be to take a million pictures with a
Yeah.
decent digital camera of all the angles, and then you would merge them all together to make a 3D model. But because I'm lazy and I want things to be done quickly, I've got an app on my phone. Well, it was called Metascan. It's I think it's changed now, but there's also like other things called like Polycam or something. And you do the same thing, just take pictures of your phone, and then it will render it into a 3D model. And you can, render that into a low quality to get it produced on site so you can have a look at it. You can also have it as a virtual reality thing where you can place it on your phone somewhere and then look at it type thing.
Oh, yeah,
Like
like augmented reality thing.
yeah.
I love
So,
that.
and then you can send those files to the client, to the managers, and they can look at it straight away instead of having to wait all that time for the photographs you know,
Mm.
to merge. You can just send something off quickly. And that's how I did it. And that's what I sent to the magazine, British Archaeology Magazine, and they were happy to publish it. So,
And you're on the inside cover. It's not like you're buried
mhm.
in the book. You're like right
Yeah,
there, front and center.
I would get it out, but it's probably buried under loads of other things. But yeah,
Lee's going to be our guest next week as well, so you have to have that ready
I'll
for
have it
so you can
ready. I'll have
see
it
it on
ready.
camera. So let me ask you, let me see one more question then before we take a break until next week, because it is quite late actually for Lee over there, and it's quite early for me. So
Past my
I'm like,
bedtime now.
yeah, I'm spry because we can see the window out behind
Oh,
your back.
that's a TV
Oh, I was gonna say it's
or the
no, I
curtains.
meant the doorway, I guess. I was like, oh, it's
Oh yeah.
like pitch black over there, but it probably is outside here. It's like still sunlight for another couple hours. Okay, so for our dear archaeology friendly, who you want to hire from Fortuna Archaeology.
I'll pay you later.
Woohoo! From your perspective, how do Roman sites reveal most vividly about the day-to-day lives of the people living there? Which I think you've kind of embraced, but tell me if there's anything specific you want to add on this section.
So I've always been interested in what people from the Roman period eat. And you mentioned about the book.
Oh, the Apicius.
Yeah, I've got that book, and
You do.
I actually wanted to recreate some of the recipes and do experimental archaeology, but
I'll
I
have
never
to
had
send you
time
some
to do
pictures
it.
of it. Because I told you on the Ides of March. So we usually at the school, the kids dress up if the March 15th, because the Ides, just so everybody knows, is not always on the 15th, but in March it happens to be. And if the Ides of March is when Julius Caesar was assassinated, so if it falls on a Monday through Friday and we're in school, the kids dress up in togas, the whole thing. And every so often we assassinate Julius Caesar. But one year, I mean, we had killed him so many times. It was getting to be like everybody was excited about it. And there's one picture online that I'll send you where the kid is laying and he's supposed to be Caesar dead on the ground. He's got a big smile. So I cropped his face halfway so he can look a little bit less joyous. So the last year, no, not last year, maybe a couple years ago, we cooked and we had a Roman gala and we cooked from the Roman Apicius. And I made a big dinner for parents and students who wanted to come. And one of the recipes is flamingo tongue.
Mm.
And as far as the students knew, it was flamingo tongue that we served. But in America, you can get escargot in a can. And if you unroll it, which is snail, if you unroll the snail, it suspiciously looks like it could be a flamingo tongue as well. So I just used it as a dupe, and everybody was like, she's serving flamingo tongue. And then the other thing that we tried, which I can't wait, if you do experimental archaeology on this, I cannot wait for your feedback, is when we made garum, which is like vaguely like soy sauce, but with fish, and it reeks.
Yeah,
right?
I can imagine.
And I always was incredibly self-conscious that I had turned nose blind to it, and the students with me had turned nose blind to it. So I wondered if I reeked of like gross fish as I talked to like people for the rest of the evening or something horrible like that. Because I do know that strong smells hold on, my hair holds on to it. So I like of all the things I don't want to smell like is like garum.
No.
But I would love for your feedback for it. We had at that school, at that campus, we had 5 acres of forest behind us. So we could do it outside away from the building. The campus that I'm talking to you in now is like in the middle of a city, and there's like buildings everywhere. So I definitely would not recommend making garum here. But
well, there's one thing you probably could do is the Romans used to use spider webs as plasters, like on wounds.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if you could pretend to have like a little cut on your finger, then you get some spider web and put it around as a little plaster, or
that's wonderful.
Or you could grind up some mice brains, and that would be used as toothpaste.
Oh my gosh! I wonder if there's any benefit to.
I don't know who thought, let's just crush some mice brains and use it to toothpaste. Yeah, I don't.
I guess they weren't afraid of rabies or anything back then.
Because I know that
people use ground up strawberries, like an old grandmother's tale, like a wives' tale, is to use like ground up strawberries to brush your teeth, and it turns out in the lab they tested that it actually brightens your teeth to white.
Oh wow! I'll have to give it a go.
I've heard of the spider webs before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if it has any curative properties with like the webbing, maybe. But I would love to look into the science behind, if there is any, behind the mouse. I've never heard that before about the mouse brain toothpaste. That is that's going to be the fact that I remember with you.
That's one I always give to the school kids to freak them out a bit.
I'm going to say it at school tomorrow. Guess what? Actually, your episode's going to come out tomorrow, so we'll just play it here. Guess what Lee taught me, guys? So that is a wonderful fact that I will make sure lives on. So Lee is today's episode, and then we're gonna have him back as next week's guest, and he's gonna finish out some more questions about it. So it was wonderful having you all the way over from Britain, and I will be in touch with you this week, and we will schedule the second half of your interview. And I hope that you come with more really cool facts.
I'll have to come back soon, yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Don't forget to have your
I'll have some stuff ready. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for having me.
It's incredible. I'm so happy to have you. It really is a privilege and a pleasure. So everybody, we will see Lee next week. Have a great week, Lee. We'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.